The Iranian people don't have open internet access, but you do. Why?
Well, I'm the guy, the supreme leader, who is totally alive, by the way. I got that new Starlink Mini, I watch Mr. Beast videos on YouTube all day. Everything totally fine in Iran. I just don't want other people to have internet. That's all. I don't want them Googling fake news that say I'm dead and shit like that, I'm totally alive, you guys. Everything honky-dory here in Iran.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Viewers Discretion. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Logic. I hope you all have been doing well. It's been a minute since I've been here. I'm feeling all rusty. I'm going to be like the Tin Man tonight. I'm going to be here creaking and stuff like that, and things like that, like me flubbing and not knowing where I'm going with the rest of that sentence. That's what happens when you miss time. That's what happens, and I apologize for that. Really, nothing I could have done about that. But those of you who are missing me and wondering where I was, it was the Jewish holiday of Passover, which began on Wednesday evening and continued through straight into Friday evening, which meant we went straight into Shabbos from there. So I've been away for 3 days. I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a heads up right now that there's more time missing coming this week, unfortunately, which is why I'm going to try and cram my appearances in front load it in the early part of the week. I plan on streaming tonight, tomorrow, Monday, and then we're going to have to see what's going to happen from there on out the rest of the week, because I'm not sure. But we got huge news this week, something that you and I and millions of other MAGA folk have been praying for, and that is the removal of Pam Bondi. And perhaps even bigger news than that, which has broken over the last hour or two, is it seems as if the F-15 WSO weapons system officer who went missing while I was away has been relocated and has been rescued alive. Thank God. So, and that's perhaps even bigger news. That is bigger news. I mean, we all were hoping for Pam Bondi to be removed, but that was a crisis which seems like it has, thank God, been averted. And we're going to break that down for you all during the course of this show. This evening, I am also privileged to be joined by none other than my good friend, Jim Tells You. Jim Tells You. How have you been, brother?
I've been good. I'm so glad to hear that the Wizzo was rescued.
The Wizzo? Oh, that's what they
call it in the Air Force. They call him a Rio in the Navy, but in the Air Force, they call it a Wizzo.
WSO is the acronym for Weapons Systems Officer. I had to actually look that up to see what WSO stood for. But that is apparently, it does seem as if he's been rescued. The first reports that I saw on this left me a little bit confused. We're going to start with the weapons system officer. I think that's...
There are reports that there's a bunch of dead Iranians in the desert, though. So
We'll all mourn appropriately with champagne. And by the way, those of you who are celebrating the holiday Easter, I want to wish you a happy Easter. I hope that you enjoy your holiday with appropriate respect and fanfare and in the company of family, and that you should be surrounded by family who will only help bring you joy during this occasion, which I know is arguably the most I think it's probably the most what's the word I'm looking for, reverent holiday, in the sense as far as like it being that many Christians take it as something that is a day to have serious introspection. So those of you, I hope that you find your Easter to be fulfilling. And with that, and perhaps perhaps part of the blessings of the season that we see is this WSO, this missing WSO being located, thank God. And the first news I got of that came from Elise Stefanik. She came forward with that news in a report, which was a little cryptic when I first saw it. This was the first news that I saw on this. And I was like, we don't seem to have a source. I mean, at least Stefanik is, you would think, has access to intel that you and I may not, because she's got, she's associated with the administration, former congresswoman. And she said the breaking reports of the safe rescue of the F-15 WSO are profound relief to every American. Indeed, God bless the brave service member who evaded capture in the most challenging circumstances, and God bless the special operations forces who put their lives on the line for this dangerous rescue mission. It is a deeply ingrained patriotic value that Americans will go to the ends of the earth and beyond and do whatever it takes, including risking it all, to bring their fellow Americans home. And happy Easter indeed. Agreed. It's one of the things that differentiates us, I think, from other societies where we're willing to, where one goes, all go, and that we're willing to we'll go out there to try and make sure that we bring our folks home, and that's something we should take great pride in. And there's success in this mission as far as getting him home, not simply, fortunately not bringing him home as far as we know in any way seriously injured, but as far as we know that he's actually going to be returned in complete good health. The follow-up I saw to that was was a report from Hot Air. Yeah, that's what people are saying, Wizzo. That's what they're calling it. And I saw that you said there was a local super chat where in the super chat, and told me I'm seeing reports in mainstream media, most notably Jennifer Griffin, that WSO has been recovered. And yeah, I already had lined up all sorts of reports on that. This was the next report I saw on this, which is F-15 Wizzo recovered after Special Forces battle on IRGC, according to Al Jazeera.
It's Al Jazeera.
It's one way of pronouncing it. So far, only Al Jazeera has confirmed this. This says it came from U.S. government official. Breaking, a U.S. official tells U.S. Al Jazeera both crew members from the downed F-15E in Iran have been recovered after a heavy firefight, but the rescue operation is going as teams attempt to safely exfiltrate from Iran. I'm seeing this here. Trump put out a true social about this rescue. It's awesome. Let me check out his true social. I want to pull that up. Just so we can be on top of this as it unfolds. He brought this out 21 minutes ago, and I had not seen this, so I thank you for sharing this with me.
There was a lot of people, I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday when this. I think it was Thursday that this happened. Thursday night or was it Thursday or Friday? But people make it saying what are they doing searching for him during the day? They shouldn't be out there searching for him during the day. And it's like, no, we search for people immediately. It doesn't matter day or night. We go get them. Yeah,
go get them. And thank God it seems we've had phenomenal success in that regard. This is not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. From President Trump, we got him. Thank you, Kimberly, for calling this my attention. I'm going to give you the horn for this. 29 months. Thank God we got my fellow Americans over the past several hours. The United States military pulled off one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history for one of our incredible crew member officers, who also happens to be a highly respected colonel. Let me change this size here so you can see it all. Happens to be a colonel, and who I'm thrilled to let you know is now safe and sound. The brave warrior was behind enemy lines in the treacherous mountains of Iran, being hunted down by our enemies who were getting closer and closer by the hour, but was never truly alone because his commander-in-chief, Secretary of War, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and fellow warfighters were monitoring his location 24 hours a day and diligently planning for his rescue. At my direction, the U.S. military sent dozens of aircraft armed with the most lethal weapons in the world to retrieve him. He sustained injuries, but he will be just fine. This miraculous search and rescue operation comes in addition to a successful rescue of another brave pilot yesterday, which we did not confirm because we did not want to jeopardize our second rescue operation. This is the first time in military memory that 2 U.S. pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory. We will never leave an American warfighter behind. The fact that we were able to pull off both of these operations without a single American killed or even wounded just proves once again that we have achieved overwhelming air dominance and superiority over the Iranian skies. This is a moment that all Americans, Republican, Democrat, and everyone else should be proud of and united around. We truly have the best, most professional and lethal military in the history of the world. God bless America. God bless our troops. And happy Easter to all. Phenomenal post from him. You're correct, Kimberly. Yes, we're going to get more. I'm going to give you more details on that. This was the report from Al Jazeera.
We begin this program with breaking news. A missing U.S. weapons officer has been rescued in Iran. That's according to government officials. Both U.S. and Iranian forces had been searching for the American officer after their F-15E fighter jet was downed on Friday. They were recovered after what is described as a heavy firefight. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says all hell will rain down on Iran if it doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz by Monday.
And we're going to cover this in more detail during the course of the show.
On social media, the U.S. president has said, "Remember when I gave Iran 10 days to make a deal or open up the Hormuz Strait? Time is running out, 48 hours before all hell will rain down on them." Tehran has rejected Trump's threat. A military spokesman said Iran would respond without limitation against U.S. and Israeli targets if Trump followed through.
Because they've been so coy in their efforts to fight so far.
We are live in Amman, Doha, Beirut, and Tehran. And that is where we will begin with Mohammed Val in the Iranian capital for us. Mohammed, I want to bring you back to this breaking news that we have over the American airman that was downed inside Iran. What are you hearing from inside Iran about this situation?
Yeah, we've been following this, the progression of that situation overnight, but scarce details in terms of what really happened. We know that there were strikes on the city of Dehdasht, and that's in the same province, Kogiluye, where the aircraft was downed 2 days ago. And we know that people were killed there, 4 people were killed and 1 wounded, but also there were reports later on that the number of people who were killed may be higher than that. And some unofficial reports about clashes, but not confirmed to us. So it was a very intense situation there, and it was very clear that there was an operation going on by the Americans to try to rescue that pilot. Earlier on, the authorities were also looking for him, and the proof of that is that they even asked civilians during the last couple of days to participate in that search with a reward for anyone that would find him. So the two sides were looking for the pilot. It's nighttime, and there were strikes on the city of Dehdasht, and people were killed in those strikes, and that's basically what we have. So there is clearly has been an operation to rescue the pilot.
All right, Mohammed, and I want to ask you as well about how Iranian officials are reacting to these latest threats from Donald Trump, or rather these reiterations of threats from Donald Trump, saying that there's just 48 hours now to make a deal or open the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, it's clear that the Iranians are not fazed by these threats. They have been responding to them since the day one when President Trump announced that ultimatum before he extended it twice. So they have been saying consistently that they are not going to change any of their policies or their approach towards the Strait of Hormuz because of those threats. And they are saying that those threats are already underway. The execution of them is already underway because there have been strikes on power grids, power outages in Tehran and Karachi, and also civilian facilities being hit, bridge universities and medical institutions, and also those petrochemical companies that have been destroyed over the last couple of days. So they are saying that this threat has already been to some extent executed. They are waiting for, the public here, the people waiting for worse, maybe if the major electricity companies will be completely destroyed. Of course, that's going to be something very bad for the Iranians, but also the Iranian leaders are saying that they are going to do the same to the other side. They're going to strike the same facilities across the region and in Israel. So, the same amount of defiance is still unchanged here in Iran, and the same policies.
All right, so that's their report there. Al Jazeera claimed that U.S. government official confirmed the rescue of a second member of downed F-15. This was
CNN is no better than Al Jazeera. CNN dragged out a guy that was on Carter's National Security Council, who was responsible for the plan to let the Shah fall and these people to take over, and he's 91 years old, to say how this is horrible what Trump's doing. He's making us the rogue terrorist regime in the world.
Yeah. And I was very I was skeptical about reporting this, but as far as it being fact, when I first was going to cover this story, just because I was like, we have Al Jazeera, which I don't trust them very far. Not that it's in their interest to report this news, but large number of locals are rushing to mountains area where apparent U.S. SOF Caesar is ongoing for remaining pilot of down F-15. And this is them all flooding out to the area there.
CSAR, Combat Search and Rescue.
CSAR? Yeah. Oh, Search and Rescue. Combat Search and Rescue. So there was that. There was apparently there was a bounty put on his head, which led all sorts of folks to go running on out there. I don't know what the heck they thought they were going to do, but yeah. So there was a lot of traffic, which made it difficult for them to get there. And but now we have confirmation from the President of the United States saying it's done. And
also a bunch of rumors going around that France and Italy and Spain and some other countries made a deal with the Iranians to let their ships pass the straits as long as they don't let us use their airspace or something. So I don't know if that turns out to be true. I don't think NATO is long for this world.
Yeah, I saw some reports, and again, I'm still catching up on news from that happened over the last 3 days.
It's been very busy last 48 hours. It really has.
That Trump is talking about getting us the hell out of NATO, which would be amazing. It would be amazing. And I know that the left is freaking out over this because they think we need to have a global village, but I think that would be amazing if we got out of NATO.
The right-wing government of, not government, but the right-wing party of Germany, AfD, is demanding that the U.S. remove all their troops from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, deal.
Yeah, seriously. Zellian is saying that CNN reported 4 hours ago. But again, I agree with you. This, as far as what I trust from CNN, this was updated as recently as 5 minutes ago. But this is the link that he shared. Missing service member rescued by U.S. forces after jet and downed in Iran, Trump announces. I'll share with you, instead of going through this, I want to share with you a little breakdown as to how this rescue happened. Fox News can confirm, according to Jennifer Griffin, that the second crew member of the downed F-15 fighter has been rescued, and members of the rescue team that extracted him from behind enemy lines in Iran are all safely out of Iran. That, according to 2 senior U.S. officials and multiple well-placed sources in the region, the weapons system officer ejected along with the pilot when the F-15E Strike Eagle they were flying was struck Thursday night, early Friday local time in southwest Iran. The WISO used the SERI's Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape training to evade capture, hiding on an elevated ridge after hiking away from the wreckage and putting out an emergency beacon. U.S. Special Operations Rescue Forces, to include PJs, United States Air Force, pararescue men, PJs, and many layers of elite rescue forces took part in the complex, layered mission to both find the crew member and also keep the Iranian force who were hunting the American weapons system operator at bay. There are videos that have appeared from local eyewitnesses that show what appear to have been injured and dead Iranian members of the IRGC and Bazij who were looking for the downed American crew member. Fox has learned there was fighting on the ground, but no Americans killed during that operation. Quote, it was a very complex operation to achieve the downed service member. A well-placed source briefed on the operation told me many different branches of the U.S. military were involved in the rescue. Fox can confirm the A-10 Warthog that crashed Friday was involved in providing cover for the rescue teams searching for the pilot. That A-10 crashed in Kuwait, first reported by ABC Friday, but the A-10 pilot managed to eject safely and was rescued. There was destruction of aircraft that have sensitive equipment on board, I'm told, all part of the complex combat search and rescue mission. The F-15E was pretty much destroyed on impact. 2 rescue helicopters were hit by enemy fire on Friday, and crew members on board were injured by the enemy fire, but managed to make it out of Iran. There was a lot of elements of this rescue, I'm told. So that was, and I think I have a little bit more here from M.A. Rothman, The down F-15E has been identified as belonging to the S-494th Fighter Squadron, 48th Fighter Wing out of RAF Lakenheath in England, Air and Space Forces magazine. These are America's forward deployed Strike Eagles in Europe, now confirmed in the fight over Iran. Here's what happened to the weapons system officer after he ejected. So you ready for the story? Here comes the story. According to an officer involved in monitoring the combat search and rescue operation, the Wizzo evaded up a 7,000-foot ridge with the Iranian forces chasing him all day, alone, behind enemy lines. This sounds like a movie. In the mountains of southwestern Iran, with a regime that put a $60,000 bounty on his head and sent state TV calling on civilians to hunt him down, and he kept moving. Defense analyst Babak Tagve reported major clashes between U.S. Army Special Forces and IRG ground forces in the Milas Mount area of the Rig Mountains in Khaharmahal and Bakhtiari province, right where the combat search and rescue teams were operating. This wasn't a quiet extraction. This was a fight. The Iranian side tells the story from the other end. Reports from locals speaking to Iranian media say the IRGC is transferring dead and wounded troops from Black Mountain to Dedasht Hospital. That's according to Hot Air. Plainclothes Basij forces sent to find the American were killed. Iranian officials confirmed at least 4 dead during recovery operations in the region. They say 4 dead. They never say which side to make you think that it's Americans, but it was 4 dead from the IRGC. The IRGC has now warned its own civilians to stay away from the area. It might not have been IRGC. They might have been just Iranian civilians who were looking to collect the large bounty. Let that sink in. Iran sent its Revolutionary Guard and Basij militia to capture 1 American, and they got wrecked. As of this update, journalist Jack Murphy, a former Green Beret with deep special operations sources, reports the Wizzo has been recovered alive after a massive firefight at the recovery site. Multiple special forces community sources say he's safe and back in American hands. Pentagon has not officially confirmed the second rescue, although since then, Trump has confirmed it, as we read on via Truth Social. Here's what is confirmed. The United States military sent its most elite operators into a hostile Iranian mountains, fought through IRGC ground forces, and brought their people home. That's America. All right. Great breakdown there from this guy. M.A. Rothman. So, all right. I think that's a phenomenal breakdown, and it's such a remarkable reflection of just how well trained our military is and how our forces are clearly the most elite in the world. Thank God. Thank God indeed. So I just want to break down here. Wrestlertown gifted not 5, but actually he did this twice, which makes it 10. 10 new members of the following. God bless you, Wrestlertown. Thank you for bringing in those new members of the following. We need new members of the following. It's been a minute. We need. I'm feeling like alone here. So I appreciate you bringing folks on in here. The following 10 people brought into the following, courtesy of Wrestlertown. It's appropriate when you're brought into the following that you express your gratitude to someone who gifts you with really what's the gift of life, and that would include Just Incredible, Sweet Love's B-Ball, Grace Wins 2804, Yaiya 451, Cloak and Glomar, as well as well, that's what I got here. I don't know. I popped up twice, but I'll 5
on my channel, 5 on your channel.
That's what happened. Oh, so the other 5 people, good on you too. Well done to you. Thank you, Westlertown. I appreciate you supporting Jim like that. That's very cool of you. So there you go. Welcome to the following. J.H. Schwalbeck saying, I was stationed at RAF Lakenheath from 1976 to 1979. Cool. These are my boys. Place is a hellhole. Well, fortunately, thank God we were able to bring him home.
A lot of rumors too that the what they used to take this plane down was flown in by China about a week ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that China flew in 10 like huge cargo planes full of stuff, and it's whatever it was they're saying was a passive infrared, which means a heat seeker. So it was probably a man portable system, which it's not a good thing if China's passing those around to crazy terrorist type people like Iran, because those can be used to shoot down passenger jets.
That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. I got more news for you breaking out of Iran. Before we get into Pam Bondi, I have a few more clips I want to share with you here, and that is Nick Sorter sharing out breaking: a U.S. attack in Iran has just killed 50 senior Iranian leaders per Fox. This comes shortly after a post from President Trump tonight with a video of the strike. Why do they keep gathering together? I don't know.
Well, we start you with a new development, Tommy. The president is boasting another mass assassination of Iranian leaders who gathered together. The president posted on Truth Social. Many of Iran's leaders who have led them poorly and unwisely are terminated. He posted it with a video of an airstrike. It coincides with information from a Telegram channel that more than 50 senior Iranian officials were eliminated in a combined strike from Israeli and U.S. forces. Israel, it should be noted, denies participation in this one. The search continues for a weapon systems operator missing from a U.S. F-18E that was shot down Friday over southwestern Iran. That pilot was rescued. The mission to rescue the pilot came under enemy fire. 2 helicopters were damaged and some crew members were injured, but they landed safely. An A-10 Warthog was hit and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. That pilot also rescued. An anchor on state-controlled TV in Iran put out a bounty on the missing airman, encouraging people to turn him over to police.
Residents of Koji Luye in Boyer Ahmed province, dear and honorable people, if you capture the enemy pilot or pilots alive and hand them over to the police, you will receive a precious prize.
The Israeli Defense Force, meantime, released a remarkable video of a missile launcher being taken out in northwestern Iran. Israel says the strike thwarted plans to fire missiles at Israel. In the meantime, the prime minister of Israel says Israeli jets have started striking at the petrochemical industry inside of Iran.
And there you go. There you go. That was the reports as shared by Nick Sorter. I also have, instead of Iran dealing with the Strait of Hormuz here, instead of Iran charging $2 million per vessel going through the strait, the U.S. will charge a $2 million escort fee for every vessel, which is about $9 billion a month or $100 billion in revenue. We quote, "We will waive that fee for any country that participates in the coalition to open up the strait." It is a brilliant move.
Iran charging $2 million a vessel going. I think, quite frankly, what President Trump ought to do is he ought to have announce that he's going to have a Hormuz transit tariff, and that instead of Iran charging $2 million a vessel going through the Strait of Hormuz, the United States is going to charge a $2 million escort fee for every vessel going through the Strait of Hormuz.
So I don't know that this is something that's official American policy yet. I think it's based on how this report is being conveyed. Again, I'm catching up on the news together with you, that perhaps this is a policy which is being recommended. So I don't want to report this as American policy, but it is a very intelligent policy. So you know what? Screw it. You're muted.
It's probably something that's been floated out there due to the stuff going on, like I said, about supposedly a deal being made between France and these other countries, and basically Trump said, okay, that's how you want to play. If you're not, we're going to charge you to go through it then, unless you're going to help us secure it. If not, I mean, I don't know. I don't see NATO. I really don't. If it comes out that these people made deals behind our backs, they're supposed to be our allies, and I don't see how anyone in Congress would be able to say, you can't get out, we can't end this farce of a treaty now.
I don't know what the hell we're doing there. Seriously. What are we doing there? So yeah, here's the balance of that report,
which is about $9 billion a month, $100 billion a year in revenue coming in, and we will waive that fee for any country that participates in the coalition to open up the Strait of Hormuz. That will open it up, and reward the good guys who are helping us, and punish those who decide to stay on the sidelines.
So it's a shrewd policy. Uzelian is claiming here in a link that he shares with me that Forbes is saying France and Italy made a deal for oil with Iran. I don't know what the hell we need these people for.
You heard too, that Trump submitted his budget, $1.5 trillion for the military.
Really?
Yeah. Like, yeah, we need this money. It's like, oh man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm subscribed to Forbes. Let me see. Let me see what happens here. All right. Well, I was able to get past that. France and Italy have reportedly opened talks with Iranian officials in hopes of negotiating a deal to allow their vessels through the Strait of Hormuz after a weeks-long standstill in the shipping lane has wreaked havoc on global energy markets. The two nations, both of which have seen spikes in price of gas, are looking to open talks with Tehran, officials told the Financial Times. Iran has threatened to set fire to any ships going through Hormuz without its permission. As a result, the channel through which more than 20% of the world's daily oil demand flows has been at a virtual standstill. Mojtaba Khomeini, who's named Iran's new supreme leader after his father was killed in U.S. airstrikes, said in a message on Thursday he would keep blocking the strait. Warships from Italy, France, and Greece stationed in the Red Sea are not prepared to escort ships through the strait. FT reported, and the U.S. military has also turned down a series of requests to escort oil tankers through the passage. The ability to disrupt the oil market is one of Iran's most valuable pieces of leverage in the ongoing conflict, which so far does not directly involve France or Italy, and it's unclear how willing the country will be to negotiate with the nations. These fools who are like, oh, let's go deal with the terrorists.
If we're currently, Congress might have not declared war against Iran, but we are in armed conflict with Iran. Let's call it that. Any country that claims to be our ally who's negotiating with our enemy is not our ally. That's the bottom line. Any of these, I see people in the chat saying South Korea made a deal, Japan. I can't see Japan or South Korea making a deal. That would be idiotic on their part.
Yeah.
Like, it's seriously idiotic, considering we are the only thing standing between them and China.
Brian's saying, I expect we pull out ASAP. I'll tell you this much. I think Trump is going to make sure to clear up the Strait of Hormuz situation before he gets out. I think I would expect that he will. He's not going to, because otherwise because he knows the impact that oil has on our economy overall. And that if he leaves that as is, that he's subjecting the success of the second half of the 2026 economy, American economy, to their whims, which will be to basically be as difficult as possible and try and harm our oil prices. So I don't think he's going to just leave it as is. And that's why when he's threatening to rain hell down, I think he's serious about that.
As long as he does the job completely and, actually does the job and, does what needs to be done, he'll be fine. If he does it half-assed, it's just going to be a problem for another 50 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. If you do it half-assed, it's going to be it's going to be an ongoing, lingering problem. So, the ongoing conflict in Iran has impacted global oil supply in multiple ways. The Strait of Hormuz connects Gulf of Arabian Sea. About 20 million barrels of oil passed through the Strait of Hormuz every day last year, the equivalent to about 1 day of U.S. oil use. In addition to blocking the passage, retaliatory strikes by Iran forced the pause of production at refineries in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar. Iran, which produces less than 5% of the world's oil each year, also had refineries damaged. Brent, the international oil benchmark, has surged more than $100 per barrel on several occasions since the conflict began. The International Energy Agency said its member nations will release 400 million barrels of oil from emergency reserves to combat supply disruptions, the largest reserve release in history. On Thursday, U.S. said it was pausing its sanctions on Russian oil to allow the purchase of oil already stranded at sea, and is considering temporarily waiving the Jones Act, a shipping law to allow more ships to deliver at U.S. ports. The White House earlier this week promised the rise in gas prices would be temporary, with Press Secretary Karen Levitt vowing Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were before the attack in Iran. Trump on Thursday, however, shifted the emphasis away from keeping gas prices low, highlighting the U.S. makes a lot of money when oil prices go up. So we're still not sure what's going to happen with respect to the Strait of Hormuz, other than his threats to rain down hell on them starting on Monday. So, well, obviously have to keep monitoring that situation. But I had a couple of other reports I wanted to bring down for you. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. All right. Oh, I know what happened here. All right. I was looking into the Save America Act to see if anything has happened over the last 3 days. You have anything on that?
Nothing at all.
Nothing. This is what we have. We have we're down Scott Pressler threatening John Thune, which I do think that this is a threat he may take seriously, but I don't know. John Thune is intransigent. I'm getting very, very frustrated with this man. Here is Scott Pressler issuing his threats to John Thune.
To this person, I make a promise right here and now. If Don Cornyn in the Senate, the incumbent, and the May 26th primary Senate runoff is coming up. So everybody in Texas, you have the opportunity. If Thune isn't going to give us what we want, then we are going to take away what he has. And in Louisiana, you have Senator Cassidy, who is up for election on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026. If he doesn't get 50% of the vote, it goes to a runoff in December. And just so this person knows, with my platform, this year I've already been to Indiana, Florida, Pennsylvania, Utah to help with redistricting. I'm going to Indiana for the Cinco de Mayo primary. I've been going to Virginia for the April 21st referendum. I hope people vote no. We have a primary in Pennsylvania on May 19th. So no, I promise you, I am using my platform, and I'm probably respectfully one of the only influencers on the ground doing the actual boots on the ground work. So you have my commitment that I'm going to continue putting in that work.
It looks like too, like that Virginia
very successful in the past
thing might not happen. Like I'm seeing reports that it doesn't look good, that's not going to pass. The people in Virginia. No, the vote in Virginia to change, to redistrict Virginia, that because of the stuff that they did immediately, like with the draconian gun laws they tried to pass and all this other stuff that she's like basically sitting on, waiting, like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Trying to delay it as long as possible. Like the people have actually like woken up. There's been a lot of stuff with like the woke DAs and stuff in Virginia letting people out of jail and basically coming out and saying like, oh, well, we don't want to convict these people because then they'll get deported. It's like, what? Like you're letting people go and then they murder people, but you're not convicting them because what?
Yeah. No, I mean, we have to start coming out in force. It's nice. This can't be once every 4 years. I think the MAGA is starting to wake up to recognize that you come out once every 4 years. That's all nice, well, and good, but you're not going to get your policies effectuated unless we actually can be relied on to come out and vote in force religiously.
Yeah, you heard about. Remember, I think it was last week. I think it might have been when I was on your show last week that that how that district in Florida that where Mar-a-Lago is, it got flipped by a couple hundred votes. But they arrested a guy that was a Democrat guy they arrested him because he had like the encryption cards and all this stuff and
but nothing happening.
Well, he's arrested. Who knows? I mean, I haven't heard anything if they're investigating if he did anything. But I mean, it's just odd stuff.
Even arresting him doesn't mean that the
doesn't mean anything.
The results of the election are that anything's gonna happen.
No, but I'm just saying it's just just strange. It's just weird coincidences.
Yeah. But perhaps with the new attorney general, perhaps we'll start to see things happening. And I want to be cautious here as I'm celebrating the demise of Pam Bondi's political career as attorney general, which I think is deserving of celebration, that we should be careful about being too excited about Todd Blanche, because I've not seen much from him as deputy AG, which gives me a lot of inspiration that he's going to be the man to actually fix things that Pam Bondi was reluctant to fix.
Do you think he's going to be the permanent person? Because I've been hearing that he wants to put Lee Zeldin in, or maybe Ron DeSantis, or
Ron DeSantis. I mean,
I don't know.
Ron DeSantis, I'm going to tell you this. When all the convictions were happening of Trump, when all the, not convictions, all the indictments were going down and he was running for his presidential campaign, he was as lukewarm as he could afford to be on fighting against them. I wasn't very excited by Ron DeSantis as being like the savior of MAGA, given the very, very lukewarm comments that he was making about those indictments of Trump. Look, I'm not looking to go to war with Ron DeSantis. We have too many problems going on as it is. But as far as looking at him as someone who's going to be a savior for executing a MAGA agenda, Ron DeSantis is very low on the list there as far as people who I would hope to see. Frankly, top of the list for me would be Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey is a very intelligent attorney who seems to be very, very strongly. He's the one who brought Louisiana versus Biden, because it was both Louisiana and Missouri.
He's in the FBI now, right?
Yeah. What role does he have?
I think
now?
he took Dan Bongino's spot in the FBI.
I don't know about that. That's a good question for Grok. That's the type of question Grok would know the answer.
Was he confirmed by the Senate already?
Let's see. What role does Andrew Bailey have in the U.S. government right now?
Checking that real quick. Right now, as of April 5th, 2026, Andrew Bailey's the co-deputy director of the FBI, basically one of the top two under Director Kash Patel. He started back in September 2025 alongside Dan Bongino, but Bongino stepped down early this year, and they brought in Christopher Raya to keep it a co-setup. So yeah, he's still right there running day-to-day ops with
I never heard of this new person. Christopher Raya.
I don't know anything about Christopher Raya either. It's spelled R-A-I-A.
Okay, so
I don't know anything about him.
And that's not a Senate approved job, right? So he didn't get confirmed by the Senate.
Yeah, I'm not sure that if you get confirmed for job A, that it carries over, that you can just move into job B. Like I know Todd Blanche was confirmed to be deputy AG. I don't know that he wouldn't need to go through a confirmation process. I think whoever ends up stepping into her role is going to need that confirmation. That's why they would name him as being the temporary AG. Here's Brandon Herrera, fresh off the heels of his primary win and what is most assuredly his win is on his way to, thank God, to the House, weighing in, saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, Pam Bondi is out." Breaking, that was Fox News saying, breaking President Trump. This is obviously old news for all of you. For me, relatively new news, because I didn't get to check any of the news until starting like 9 p.m. this evening. President Trump has reportedly already fired Attorney General Pam Bondi. Two sources familiar with the matter told Fox News. Bondi met with Trump in the Oval Office on Wednesday night ahead of his speech to the nation of the war of Iran, where she was reportedly informed of her ousting. The president is reportedly considering replacing Bondi with EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, sources added. I would be okay with Lee Zeldin. I'm not like gung-ho, but I like him more than DeSantis and more than Pam Bondi. But as far as like, this is the person I want, I don't know. I don't have a problem specifically with him the way I do with some of the others. I mean, he's been supposedly effective as far as trying to claw back monies that were taken from the EPA in his role as the head of the EPA. But I'm not really sold on Lee Zeldin. I'm like, okay.
I don't. Is he a lawyer?
I didn't know. I never even heard that he was a lawyer until all of a sudden his name is being floated out there. I assume he is, but he was a congressman.
I mean, I want to know what's going on. Why is there not a case before the Supreme Court challenging these district judges putting people in charge of prosecutions at the U.S. Attorney's Office? That statute is clearly unconstitutional. It's like the arguments when they talked about, like prosecution and different things about, because it came up, there was a Supreme Court case when it was about, what was it, the Consumer Finance Bureau or something like that, where they would impose fines. And they said, and they said, you can't, and the president has the right. And they're like, so you're saying if the president, and they basically said in the hearing that the president has complete control over who prosecutes cases, criminal cases, but these are different. That's what the liberals on the court were trying to argue, but they ended up losing that case. I can't remember which one it was one of the firing cases. So it's clear that somebody who prosecutes criminals, the president chooses who that person is.
That's the way it should be. That's the way an ordinary plain reading.
I'm trying. I remember saying something about it when the case came out. It was one of the cases that was argued about him firing somebody. It was either.
It gets confusing because of the Constitution's reference to the Senate confirming these.
Well, correct, but this was a statute that says like if the Senate doesn't approve somebody in this amount of time, then this judge gets to pick. It's like no, they don't have that authority.
Yeah, I don't know how they're able to delegate that authority to a judge. That sounds very strange to me. But good luck finding it. Denise Ann is saying, Joe, Andrew Bailey was not the one that brought that case against Biden originally. That was Eric Schmidt, who was our attorney general in Missouri. Then Bailey took over when Eric became senator. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but Eric did continue that lawsuit and
I just don't want him taking. I don't want him taking any like he could take Eric Schmidt out of Missouri and let Missouri pick a new senator. That would be fine. The Governor Kehoe is very based in Missouri, but do not take Mike Lee out of Utah for any reason because you'll get another Cassidy. You know, another guy that's a Democrat. Do not take somebody out of Indiana. Don't take. You got to be very careful where you take somebody from.
It's true. It's not a joke. You have to. The replacement is as important as the appointment. And she's clarifying to me that I think she's meant to say, but Andrew did continue that lawsuit and continues to be an amazing AG. The reason I voted for him when he ran for AG after his appointment term kind of said that Trump took him away from us. Yeah, but that's you're getting good replacements in their stead, which is the important thing. Wellesley's saying this European move proved that this is about Europe control of a world economy. This is why he would get out of NATO. It controls the USA. I would love it if he got out of NATO. The Democrats would freak out if he got out of NATO. But who cares? Seriously, who cares? Tell me what it's doing for us. He was the youngest attorney in New York? Really? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you for enlightening me, Kimberly. Appreciate that. 10A's 10s doing H laps means aircraft every 10 minutes. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. See, that's my audience. It comes out and brings the information. They bring it. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about Todd Blanchard. Here's Tom Bowman. And he's saying all the things that people will say. This is what people say. They're always going to say, they're going to be complimentary to whoever's in power. So you're not going to see anyone stabbing him or Pam Bondi in the back.
I did see someone floating something in a story out there about Alito being plucked from the Supreme Court to become AG so Trump could replace his. But you would have to do that first. I mean, that would be very, very risky. Because, I mean, think about this. I mean, you already got Tom Tillis out there saying that. No, I don't trust them
Trump
at all.
To bring
no, I don't.
Do you trust Trump to name someone who's you're confident will be able to fill in Alito's shoes on the Supreme Court?
Well, we have to acknowledge that Alito and Thomas aren't getting any younger.
No, I understand that.
And we don't want to turn into have a double RBG situation going on our hands where all of a sudden, because the bottom line is if something happens to either one of them, if the Democrats take the Senate, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they did, I don't
think they're taking the Senate now.
But if they did, Chuck Schumer or whoever is the majority leaders would sit on any appointments to the Supreme Court until after the president's election. I mean, they're already calling for that. That's what they're talking about. They're putting it out there to, Midas people and the other, Indivisible and the Kamala Harris people. They're basically that there's a group, they're like, don't, this we're going to do. We have to sit on anything, stop them from appointing anyone else to the Supreme Court. So that's going to be a problem. But I don't know. I don't think Thomas is going to step down. I think he's going to be like RGB. No, I'm going to stay until I die.
Yeah, he strikes me as someone who doesn't want to let go. Which
I don't know about Alito, but your Alito was the reason this came up about Alito is because it was just released like yesterday that something happened to him at a Federalist dinner. He might have been poisoned or something. He had to get rushed to the hospital.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
I didn't see that report.
Food poisoning or something. I don't know.
Well, anyway, here's Tom Homan weighing in on the current state of the DOJ.
Right. Not only prosecuting smugglers and traffickers, but suing sanctuary cities and taking action against agitators that have assaulted ICE agents. So I've got a close relationship with both. I wish Pam Bondi the best. And I think Todd Blanche will step up and won't skip a beat. I think they'll keep that train on the track. We'll keep moving forward.
Although your specific responsibilities don't fall under the DOJ, Tom, as you mentioned, you work hand in hand, specifically on immigration. What, if any, changes in priorities do you expect?
Right. Not only prosecuting smugglers and traffickers, but
that clip was a little too short for my taste. But they're all going to sit here saying wonderful things about Pam Bondi. And look, we don't need to kill her. We just needed her gone. You know what I'm saying? We need her gone from this post. I don't need her gone in any other way, but yeah, just gone from not in this post. It just she wasn't the right fit from
Tom Tillis has
day one.
already come out and said that he's not going to support anybody appointed to AG if they don't acknowledge that January 6th was worse than 9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's unbelievable. It's like such a brain lock that they have. Our Senate is the biggest problem right now. It really is. It's the biggest problem. Here's Mike Davis, another person who's unwilling to do anything other than kiss Pam Bondi. This is the last of the kissers that I'm going to bring you on her. I'll always remain Pam Bondi's biggest fan. She's a bold and fearless warrior for the Constitution. She did more in just over a year to reform the politicized and weaponized DOJ than all the GOP predecessors combined. We'll see the fruits of her labor for years to come. Okay.
Soon leave her. Kaylee, I just got off the phone with President Trump. We have a big scoop. Pam Bondi will soon leave her job as the Attorney General. She is going to get a different job within the administration. It doesn't sound like there is any bad blood between her and President Trump, but it does seem like...
and it's good to avoid the bad blood, by the way. You never want to see these people go out there and just start trashing Trump, which is... We saw that happen during his first administration a lot. So it's good...
There is rumors that for some reason Pam Bondi is friends with Eric Swalwell, and that she called him and told him that the FBI was going to release this.
You
stuff
have links on
him.
that? Because
this was days ago, and I don't know how. I mean, that's just. I'll find something. I have it here.
See if you could dig something up on that.
You want her to go and do something else, and in an interim role, she will be replaced by Todd Blanche, who is currently her deputy at the Justice Department. So it doesn't sound like Blanche is being elevated long term to the Attorney General. There might be somebody else that the president wants to go in there. But President Trump soon will announce to the entire world that it is the end of Pam Bondi's time as the Attorney General. He still thinks
and obviously
that
this
she's a great
proved
person
correct,
and that she did a good job. And he still wants her in the fold because she will still be an important part of the administration, he tells me, but no longer as the top law enforcement officer of the United States. That, at least for a little while, is going to be
Todd Blanche. Yeah, so that is when Peter Ducey was dropping this scoop back when I was on holiday. But Benny Johnson lays it out a little bit more as to why it is that she was such a problem and why she was such an utter failure from a MAGA perspective, and she was.
The way, I mean, I know a lot of people make fun of the influencers here. They were handed these binders. Nobody got any time to look at what they were. They assumed that this stuff had been vetted and that this was being handled by professionals and adults. And it wasn't. As a matter of fact, it was a humiliating embarrassment. It was handed to them by Pam Bondi. That's a matter of fact. These came straight from DOJ. It showed a level of unseriousness and a level of dismissiveness about the Epstein files, and I think I know why. Because too many people are watching cable TV to get their news and information. And the people on cable TV are the ones in the Epstein files, so they don't cover them. The producers and the big wigs and the heads of these major TV outlets, they cover up the Epstein files. They cover up for Epstein because they loved going to Epstein Island. They loved the services that Epstein provided them, or they did Epstein adjacent things. Go check in on Matt Lauer and his special button in his office to lock his doors for his victims. Epstein had stuff like that. These people are all creeps. Cable news doesn't cover it, and there is a certain wing of the administration that's addicted to cable news. And therefore, they think that the Epstein files weren't real, or that like people didn't really care about them because they didn't hear about them much. So they thought they could just like do like little things and get rid of that. But they didn't understand that there's an entire universe out there called the internet that is like really powerful. And there's billions of people on this thing. And those billions of people really care a lot about this Israeli spy, British spy, CIA agent, all of the above, with his special private island and his planes and his money and his presidents, his prime ministers and his princes and all the trafficked women, and they care about this stuff. And so when it was handled so dismissively, like remember the unsigned memo released on July 4th, of all times, to release this stupid memo that effectively says Jeffrey Epstein was an upstanding citizen and did nothing wrong. That's what the memo, go back and read the memo. Everybody who was part of that memo deserved to get it, as far as I'm concerned, because that started the process of like this massive headache and unraveling for the administration. What could they have done? Well, you know, you could have just done what President Trump promised to do on the campaign trail, which is release the files. Do you have to release all of them? Should some of this stuff be blocked? Of course. I don't want CP all over, you know, the internet. Of course not. There's nasty stuff in there. But you could release some. You could release the majority of them, and you don't have to release them all at once. Release it in tranches. Go through the declassification. Go through.
You didn't need to have that Congress would, you know, call for the release. It should have been done a long time earlier. This was terribly handled, and it did.
I think it all came from Bondi, to tell you the truth.
Look, you know, at the end of the day, the buck stops here. You know, you have to sort of, this is something that this is a headache that Trump walked into. You know, he knew he should have read the room as to how serious a thing this was. You know, and it was a very serious thing. Particularly, I know he started. I don't think he personally was involved in anything nefarious with respect to the disturbing activities that were purportedly going on Epstein Island, but there's too much cover-up. There's too much protexia for people who are deemed elite, and the failure to go after that and just say, let the heads roll, and it doesn't matter. You know what? This is disgusting. This is evil, and we're going to punish. We're gonna at the very least shame these people.
They should have just went after some of the other co-conspirators that, like the same way they went after Maxwell, go after the other co-conspirators, charge them and say, start naming names.
Right.
You know? I mean, I still say these women should start naming names on who it was that hurt them.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think that I do question whether a large part of his protection from the FBI and these, you know, CIA, Mossad, whomever, is because he was playing a financial role rather than a honey trap role. Meaning, I think that he made himself invaluable as a facilitator on behalf of the CIA and likely Mossad, MI6, and that he, by making himself invaluable, he made them reluctant to burn him and made him feel that he was invulnerable no matter how sick his predilections were.
You saw that video that I think it was whatever Cappy Army did. I think that's the guy's name. It's like a 25-minute video breaking down Epstein's history with the connections to the guy Lease, and then to the other arms dealers, and then work for when he was at Bear Stearns working for the CIA's bank and all this other. I mean,
it was Sandinistas, every covert op that we, you know, that's been exposed. It seems as if he was the one who was the financial guru to help get the money to these agents, to these entities who were not supposed to be getting funded. So yeah, he was at the helm of all of that, which likely made him what they deemed to be an invaluable individual, and thereby encourage them and motivate them to cover up his disturbing, sickening crimes.
He was involved with arms deals for the U.S., probably involved with the hold drugs for guns, the money stuff with Iran-Contra. That might be how he knows Clinton, because Clinton was the governor of Arkansas at the time where they were flying the drugs in Mena, Arkansas. So that might be how.
Right. I mean, it's just to call a spade, right? Like he supposedly visited the White House under Clinton 17 times, right? Do I think that he was ferrying girls in there to Clinton? As disturbing, as sick a person as Clinton is, I don't think he was doing that, because that would have broken. That likely would have been something we probably would have heard about.
His business was not girls,
right?
That was his predilection, or whatever you want to call it, his vice, his thing.
Sickening, right?
Yeah, but his business was moving money, making money. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you get all this money? Well, just you get like a 1%, 1.5% fee for all these deals you do. You're talking about billions of dollars of deals
over and over again
for 40 years. Not just the U.S. government, the British government, probably the Israeli government, who knows what other, Saudi Arabia, Turkey.
And because he had been a respected businessman, he gave it a veneer of legitimacy to cover up these covert operations as being legitimate. So in that sense, they certainly didn't want to taint him with and have him washed with that taint of ugliness by having the world see what he really was in his private life. Now, does that mean that there weren't any bigwigs who were associated with his sickening fetish? No, there very possibly were, but we're never going to know any of this because the Epstein files have been so played around with that we're never going to trust that what we have is the actual. In Pam Bondi, even when there's a release, like there's so many blacked out things here and there. It's like, why?
Where's the CIA files on Epstein? That's what you really want to know, is where are those files?
Yeah,
they had to have had files on them.
And it could be like, look, it should have come with this whole introduction of explaining this, that instead of good logic having to tell the audience, this is what I think happened. This should have been something that Pam Bondi walked through. This is what our CIA was doing with him. This is what Mossad was doing with him. This is what MI6 was doing with him. And this way, this would be something that is publicly recognized as like, look, there was a lot of ugliness that was happening with our covert agencies that involved this guy. And perhaps they likely gave too much of a pass to him for this disgusting behavior that he had. And now we're having an age of transparency. We're going to tell you, look, this is what he did. There's different types of ugliness. There's ugliness as far as covert operations that were funding things that were not supposed to be covered, and we're going to reveal that. And there's ugliness with respect to the way he abused women, and we're not going to be covering that up anymore. We're no longer going. We're going to have actual transparency. If they had done this, they could have taken this entire scenario and used it as a lightning rod to bolster our confidence in the Trump administration instead of becoming a tool that's been used to bludgeon and create fracture within MAGA. And she certainly was at the center of this.
Well, that whole binder thing was like an albatross that got hung around his neck.
That was humiliating. That was just humiliating. It was terrible. But there's no reason that, you should be hearing this story as far as this is what Joe, good logic thinks. This is be something that is like, that legacy media and everyone is forced to like basically say, okay, this is what we're hearing about what was going on with our CIA and with Mossad and with all these different agencies and all these different bigwig individuals going on for the last 30 years. And instead of it being something that Mike Benz has to break down for you or I have to break down for you, this is like, no, this is what happened, and we just get the truth from the horse's mouth. And why is it that this is so stupid? It's just idiocy.
The legal loopholes, whatever. But start giving people things. Instead, they gave us a templated letter that said Jeffrey Epstein did nothing wrong, effectively, which is insane. Because now even what we found out about the Epstein files, and we certainly don't have all of them, but what we found out is that he did so many wrong things. There's so many people that have lost their jobs over this, and there's so many careers that have been destroyed. People have been arrested in different countries. They should be arrested in this country. But anyway, there's plenty in there that's totally criminal, that's totally evil, that's totally sick, that's totally discrediting, and that has ruined careers. And so why lie? You lied. And I think that's ultimately what's going on here is there was a total misunderstanding of the base, where they live and what they cared about. And the base does care about Jeffrey Epstein and doesn't want to pay taxes to pedophiles. And that's why this is popping off. It's a critical misalignment with the base that won for Trump. We don't want to pay taxes to pedophiles. That's it. Okay. And so the mishandling or the dismissiveness about Jeffrey Epstein was a bad signal. And it didn't have to go that way. It could have.
And to be fair, you know, at a certain point, Trump tried quieting it down by basically saying, if you're still talking about this, you're not MAGA. And that was the exactly wrong thing to say. And that's on Donald. You know, he's a phenomenal president. I love his work, and particular in foreign affairs. But you cannot, I'm not going to defend a screw up. And that was without question a screw up. You know, we have to sort of own it that was a screw up on as far as not reading the room.
Easily been thoughtfully handled and could have, frankly, like reestablished a lot of trust, honestly, in federal law enforcement if it had been handled correctly. And what that means is like you literally do put people like Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman in chains. You know, you do a real investigation. You start arresting people. You know,
is there any proof that Bill Gates or Reid Hoffman actually broke the law? I mean, I'm being 100% serious. I mean, sure, I'd like to see Reid Hoffman, who's done a lot of crazy shit and been involved in a lot of stuff, probably crooked as hell. But is there any evidence? Is there any woman that says Reid Hoffman molested him or whatever, raped him or something? Is there?
Not.
I've never heard that.
I've never even heard the claim. Rosellian saying, Joe, can we get Robert Gouveia as AG, maybe, or maybe Andrew Branco? Maybe that's why Robert moved to DC. I don't know. Maybe he's got connections. Could be. I don't know.
You start applying pressure to that.
I would love to see it.
That, I mean, people would have celebrated from the rafters over that. I would have been the first one. Been like, wow, this is really new. And it's really exciting to see this happen with our federal law enforcement. They're going after these evil, connected, powerful people. But instead, it's the exact opposite. And it was treated dismissively. And that's the real sin there. And that's why Pam Bondi.
She's forever going to be linked to Epstein. That's going to be on her epitaph. That's going to be the epitaph on her career, that she'll be forever linked to covering up for Epstein. At a time when we needed transparency, she was the fog. And here is a Nicholas Hulscher, who's citing a different issue with respect to Pam Bondi, and that relates to her ties to Pfizer.
Pam Bondi, once she got in as Attorney General, all of a sudden they dropped a investigation into Pfizer they were looking into them for corruption in Mexico and China for all sorts of sketchy practices. And we know, they commit criminal activities all the time. But so now we see a protection of the criminal enterprise Pfizer. This is not what we want to see. And obviously we've all heard of the Epstein stuff, right? But she did work with, or she at least consulted with Pfizer for some legal things in the past. So she was already connected with them. She gets in, and then she wipes away the investigation of them. So very, very worrisome. Pam Bondi.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how many. Here's the thing also, the people who are defending her, like the Mike Davises of the world, they point to the low-level fish who she seemed to convict with great alacrity for their sickening, pedophilia and other things that she would get the low-level fish locked away. But that's not what we were looking for. I mean, that's all.
There some other rumors about Pam Bondi's brother being involved in something, like some kind of shady dealings and contracts or something like that. Like, I'm wondering if that's going to come up. You heard about Noam's husband, right?
Yeah, I shared
Okay.
that on
All right.
Tuesday.
I wasn't sure when that happened. I was like, wow, my God. Ah.
I shared that on Tuesday. Yeah, we were having a lot of fun sharing. When I had Cynic on here, we were having a lot of fun with that story. So here's another name being floated out there who's supposed to be rising through the ranks of our Attorney General system, and that is Harmeet Dillon. President Trump plans to nominate Harmeet Dillon as Associate Attorney General of the United States per Daily Wire's Mary Marg Olohan. This would make Harmeet Dillon number 3 at the DOJ. Previous office holder Stan Woodward resigned earlier today, the Daily Wire reports. Here she is.
Who paid for it and who was there?
Is she still going to be the head of DOJ, head of the Civil Rights Division?
She wouldn't be, presumably.
Because she's doing I like what she's doing there. I mean,
I
this
agree.
is the thing that I'm worried about. Like, honestly, there's a lot of things I'm worried about. Like, this whole stuff that rolled out, like when they first came into office and they pardoned, and Trump pardoned, like Mel Gibson, all these people, and restored their gun rights and did all this stuff and said, we're going to put this office up to restore people's gun rights because nonviolent people that have been convicted of felonies shouldn't have their gun rights taken away. There should be this office. The Attorney General's going to take it over. They're going to do this stuff. It's been over a year. Guess what? They still haven't done anything with that. Pam Bondi just announced it and then didn't do a fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she was very good at announcements. Actually, she wasn't even really very good at announcements. She always seemed nervous. And remember all the threats for sanctuary cities? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to come after you. If, Mayor Wu from Boston, if you're going to stand there with your sanctuary city policies, where are those arrests? Where are those indictments?
I mean, so far, Harmeet's the only person I see at the DOJ actually doing shit. Filing lawsuits, going after people, jumping in, fighting to protect gun rights, going after DC, going after other states, saying, oh, we're going to come after you. You're just violating the Constitution. Like, if they get a new AG, is that AG going to try to stop her because she has to do what her boss says? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
The people who did this made a big, big mistake, whoever they are.
This was her and Don Lemon.
We are investigating exactly who they are, who coordinated with them, who paid for it, and who was there. And this will be met with the full force of the United States Department of Justice, as the Attorney General has directed. And we discussed yesterday with the pastor who was totally shaken. He was with his family. We want to make sure everyone felt safe. And there will be further legal action.
And she actually went after them. She managed to get all of them, aside from Don Lemon, indicted. And frankly, Don Lemon was the one person there probably shouldn't have been indicted, probably.
No, Don Lemon got indicted also.
Yeah, but I think that got dismissed. I think it was dismissed.
I don't know. I don't think it was dismissed against Don Lemon.
You don't think it was?
No, I don't think so. Like the charges, they did a information or whatever, filed the information, and then the judge dismissed it against Lemon. They went and had him indicted, and then they arrested him at the award ceremony. Remember in L.A.
Yeah,
because he was indicted.
Well. This is I asked Jim to dig up for me the claims that she tipped that Pam Bondi tipped off Eric Swalwell, and that led to her firing. And here is the White House denying that. White House denies Daily Mail claim that Bondi was fired for tipping off Swalwell about FBI release of Fang files. Because in the wake of receiving that, he actually sent this letter to this is something I was looking to try and cover on Tuesday, and I ran out of time. But Representative Eric Swalwell sent a letter to the FBI asking them, please don't embarrass me and release the files related to my association with Fang. In the cease and desist letter sent by Swalwell's letters to FBI Director Kash Patel on Monday, Swalwell asked that Patel and FBI agree in writing by Wednesday not to release the files. The congressman has never been accused of wrongdoing in that matter. An attempt to release the files is a transparent attempt to smear him and undermine his campaign for governor of California. Attorneys Norm Eisen and Sean Hecker wrote,
there's a lot more stuff coming out about Swalwell too. If you want, I'll pull some of it up. Like a lot of somebody decided that it's time to go after Swalwell. Like I think because he's running for governor, they're trying to get. I think the Democrats don't want him being governor. And he doesn't have Pelosi's protection anymore because all types of stuff about him started coming out. Like he's been paying his wife with campaign funds to watch their own kids.
Really?
Yeah, I'll get it.
The White House denied the Daily Mail's claim that Pam Bondi was fired in part for tipping off Democrat Representative Eric Swalwell about the FBI's push to release salacious Fang files. Trump fired Bondi, U.S. Attorney General, on Wednesday evening before he delivered his Iran speech, according to reports. Why do I get these sickening type of pictures? According to reports, Trump was not happy with Bondi's leadership at the Department of Justice. The White House denied the Daily Mail report. New York Post reported a senior Trump administration source has denied sensational claims Pam Bondi was fired for tipping off Representative Eric Swalwell about FBI plans to release files tied to his links to a Chinese spy. The source told the Post that while President Trump personally likes Bondi, he had grown dissatisfied with her performance and had been weighing her removal for some time. The president has been considering this change for a long time, the source said. Eric Swalwell is panicking as Kash Patel pushes to release salacious files related to his relationship with Chinese spy honeypot Bang. Democrat Representative Eric Swalwell, running for governor of California earlier this week, lawyers for the FBI sent a cease and desist letter wherein they included attorneys. Representative Eric Swalwell demanded in a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel that the Bureau refrain from releasing decade-old investigative files involving the congressman's purported ties to a suspected Chinese intelligence operative, the Washington Post reported on Monday. Swalwell's attorneys said in the letter that there was no justification for releasing the files, especially since the congressman had assisted the FBI in its investigation. The congressman has never been accused of wrongdoing in that matter, and your attempt to release the files is a transparent attempt to smear him and undermine his campaign for governor of California. Can you imagine this clown as a governor? Unbelievable. Well, anyhow. I will ask you your thoughts. Do you think that they're lying when they say that? Do you think they played a role?
The stuff that I was reading, some of the stories said that Pam Bondi got involved in it. Like when Kash Patel and they were reviewing it, that somehow Pam Bondi was involved in stuff that she didn't have no business being involved in, asking questions, wanting to see what they were looking at, wanting to see what they were talking about. And supposedly she's friends with Eric Swalwell. I don't know. I was trying to figure out how they would, why would they be friends? What did they go to school together, something like that? But she's 15 years older than him, so it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And she's from Florida. He's from California. Here's Todd Blanche denying it.
Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give Swalwell a heads up on the Fang files, did she?
I would not believe that for a second. Okay. Absolutely, positively not.
Okay. Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give.
Yeah, he's saying that that's not what happened here. I don't know. This was the post from Trump when he announced her removal. Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murderers plummeting to their lowest levels since 1900. We love Pam, and she'll be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector to be announced at a date in the near future. She's fired. And our Deputy Attorney General and very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in and serve as Acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So that was his announcement. Private sector means we're not going to give her some made-up new job like we did for Kristi Noem. We're just done with her. That's what he's saying there. Did you hear about these Chinese spies?
The ones that set up,
they tried they didn't detonate, but they tried detonating an IED at U.S. Air Force.
Yeah, at the CENTCOM in Tampa.
It was just released that the Chinese suspects who tried detonating an IED at a U.S. Air Force base were birthright citizens of illegal aliens. That's right. The very people that Alito warned us that we need to be afraid of were the ones who, he said, there are tens of thousands that the Chinese have basically flown these women in here to pop these babies out and bring them back home.
I heard it was over 1 million.
I don't even know.
They've been doing it, like going to play like some of the islands that are U.S. territories, like Saipan.
Exactly
Guam,
what
Justice
like Sam Alito tried telling everyone at the Supreme Court: strike down birthright citizenship for illegals. Per Daily Wire, the two parents were arrested on March 18th for illegal entry. They tried getting asylum in 1993, but ultimately got a deportation order in 1998. It was the children of Qiqin Zhao and Zhizhang Zheng who tried bombing MacDill Air Force Base Visitors Center in Tampa, Florida, Justice Alito literally warned that the children of foreigners would have allegiance to our enemies. He was right. At least 5 justices need to see the writing on the wall and do the right thing.
Forward.
This was him bringing him up in the birthright citizenship arguments.
Not subject to any foreign power is pretty straightforward. So let me give you these examples. A boy is born here to an Iranian father who has entered the country illegally. That boy is automatically an Iranian national at birth, and he has a duty to provide military service to the Iranian government. Is he not subject to any foreign power?
Not within the meaning of the 1866 Act, Justice Alito. And that's clear from Wong Kim Ark, and it's clear from the debates. What the framers meant by the phrase not subject to any foreign power was referring to the ambassador exception. If it meant what the government contends, basically not a subject of any foreign power, that another country considers you a jus sanguinis citizen, then lawful permanent residence, all foreign nationals.
Ordinary public meaning of that.
The ordinary public meaning is any foreign power, some of their foreign power, they are subject to. So you're saying completely subject to their foreign power if they're a child of ambassador, but any foreign power.
Well, according to Ketanji Brown, I don't know what a woman is, Jackson. It just means if you could be held criminally responsible, then you owe allegiance to that country. Because if she steals a wallet in Japan, she would have allegiance to them.
Would certainly.
That's what she said. It, not me.
I know.
Would it not?
Justice Alito, if you think that the language of the 1866 Act was ambiguous, as Wong Kim Ark says, the shift to the language of the 14th Amendment, which is the operative text, certainly clears up any ambiguity.
No, it doesn't.
What I said about a boy born to an Iranian father is true of children born here to parents who are nationals of other countries. If I'm correct, it's true to a child who's born here to Russian parents. It's true to a child who's born here to Mexican parents. They're automatically citizens or nationals of those countries and have a duty of military service. It sure seems like that makes them subject to a foreign power.
But again, Justice Alito, that would have meant that the children of Irish, Italian, and other immigrants, which Wong Kim Ark refers to and the debate the framers refer to, would not have been citizens either. Because if the only test is whether that US-born child is considered a citizen by another country under their jus sanguinis laws, then no foreign nationals' children would be.
Well,
okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, why is that a problem? I don't see why that's a problem.
The parents could be naturalized, and then the children would be derivatively naturalized when the parents were naturalized. Wong Kim Ark.
Yeah. So there's nothing to say to that. Because
And I would just remind everybody, when the Irish were getting off the boats, all right, by the tens of thousands coming into the country, there was this thing going on called the Civil War, all right? And they was like, hey, if you sign this paper, you can stay and we'll give you citizenship and you got to go fight. And then there was and also you get to vote now. So here, sign up and vote here. I know the movie, Gangs of New York, it's not 100% historically accurate, but that part was real about, Boss Tweed and, Tammany Hall being there, saying, this is what you got to do. And then the army there, here you go, sign.
Has to get them citizenship, not their kids. So.
Correct.
So
yeah, but if you got that and then had a kid, though, that would make that kid because if you're a citizen, you have a kid, you're clearly a citizen.
If Wang's argument in this case were correct, we wouldn't have needed to pass the Indian Citizenship Act 56 years later. Well, they try and pretend that Indians were specifically excluded. So that's how they try to get around that problem in their whole theory.
I didn't see that written in the 14th Amendment. Did you?
Yeah, I don't see that either. I don't see that. I don't see that in the language of it.
I don't know. I was not confident after hearing the oral arguments for this case, though. I didn't think the Solicitor General pounded it hard enough about the birth tourism. I have a feeling, though, I don't know, and And it's possible maybe they're going to split the baby and be like, well, this birth tourism thing, but they might punt it to Congress and go, Congress could fix this.
I'm very, very concerned. Yeah. I'm with you. Listening to those oral arguments, I think it's 50-50 at best, and probably 60-40 against that we're going to win this one.
Well, I think there'll be 4 votes to say that, yeah, Trump, that this is okay, but I think that's about, I'm not sure after that.
Yeah, and Gorsuch was very disconcerting to me. I have a lot of concerns. Who knows? But maybe, you know what? Maybe this case will help alert those the Gorsuches of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible that the timing of this is beneficial to us. That perhaps
Amy Coney Barrett asking about foundlings. What about foundlings? There's no fucking foundlings these days, lady. What are you talking about? We know it's not like there's people giving birth at home and nobody knows who it is, and a baby shows up. That's like what, 1 in a million, maybe.
I felt like Barrett would, and I feel like she's not even thinking about oral arguments as far as convincing her of anything. I think that she has her mind made up coming into oral arguments, and she enjoys getting into this philosophical debates about how should we interpret the Constitution, just for the thrill of it and as a mental exercise more than as her trying to tell us where she's at. I mean, a little bit we can glean from her. She went similarly hard against both sides. And I felt as if she felt like this is a really interesting case. It's an interesting philosophical thing that I get to weigh in on. And I don't have confidence in her, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, yeah, look, we need 3 out of 4 of those, of Roberts, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett to jump on our side. And
Kavanaugh sounded to me like he was on board.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, clearly, Alito and Thomas are going to be on board, clearly.
Right.
Roberts
was very quiet. He was very quiet, Roberts. He was very, very quiet. So, and he's someone who I think might be able to be swayed by something.
Kagan almost sounded like she was not happy with the birth tourism stuff and
Yeah, I know. But it's like you want to bank on Kagan?
No, you don't want to bank on Kagan. Sotomayor basically was just like, well, we have to know if the people, even if they're illegal, if they plan on staying here. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna question them if they plan on staying here. Gonna have to make them sign up. What are you talking about, lady?
Yeah, no one knows what she's talking about. That was just the most ridiculous.
Yeah, everybody wants to come here and stay here. Does that mean everyone in the fucking world is a citizen just because they want to come here and stay here? So
she was in unique Sotomayor form on Tuesday when she was doing that. It was Wednesday. Yeah. So yeah, and here is but I'm hopeful that this story here with these citizens who are citizens, under American law, and they wouldn't even be knocked out by Trump because he's looking prospectively. So these illegal aliens who were born on our soil.
But here's the problem, Joe, with that is that if the Supreme Court says yes, these people aren't citizens, that means if you're not a citizen, you're not a citizen. I don't see how they can cut it off and say like anybody that was declared a citizen before this, unless they're going to go with they had a reliance on that, but I don't know. I mean, they could do that. They've done that in the past. They've had a reliance on this. So
John Sauer was saying we're asking for it to be prospectively going forward.
I know that's what they're saying, but what I'm saying though is how could they, if some later president, let's say, came back and said, no, you said that these people aren't citizens, that means these people aren't citizens.
I agree with you. It's very.
That's where I see this being a problem because
I think that they were hoping to open the doorway for them to split the baby. Mm-hmm. So, and Brandon Gill, who's one of the better members of the House, he calls the Supreme Court to do the right thing and strike down birthright citizenship for illegals after the children of the Chinese illegals tried bombing a U.S. base. Our Constitution is in a suicide pact. Here he is with that.
Forward.
That's just the same clip of him. He's right. 2 Chinese anchor babies just tried to bomb United States Air Force.
This is like literally the plot of the movie The Manchurian Candidate. Like, it's literally the plot of the movie.
It's
person in
aggravating.
Manchuria,
It's
person,
aggravating.
Like gonna take over America and
yeah. Mike Lee tweeted out on this. Ron Paul was right. The text and original understand the 14th Amendment do not support the conclusion that all children born to illegal aliens in the U.S. are constitutionally entitled to U.S. citizenship.
Have a right to citizenship. Do is attack their benefits. No free education, no free subsidies, no citizenship, no birthright citizenship, no birthright citizenship.
And you want to get rid of the birthright law that says that an illegal immigrant who gives birth in America, the child is a U.S. citizen.
Yes, I think there's confusion on interpreting the 14th Amendment. It says that if you're under the jurisdiction of the United States, you have a right to citizenship if you're born here.
All right, so you say this is good, but that's in there.
Yes, but it's a little bit confusing. If you step over the border and you're illegal, are you really under the jurisdiction? There's a question on that, and I want to clarify it.
Now, you know, children of undocumented immigrants who are born in the United States are U.S. citizens, just like you and me. Do you like that idea? Is that okay?
I just think the mere fact of stepping across the border and having a child, and I'm an OB doctor, and I had to take care of a lot of emergencies, deliveries, and people came for the sole purpose of that. No, I don't think that should be automatic. I think that we should have more control of.
That's a little faint.
So you want to change the Constitution? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it depends on how you interpret the Constitution. You know, under the jurisdiction is the big issue there, and that's why it's so often debated. You know, what does under the jurisdiction mean? If you're illegal, you might not.
So, yeah, I do think that Ron Paul is better than Rand Paul. Let's put it that way.
Because I mean, and also I think like that Stauer brought it up that for like 50 years after Wong Kim Ark, they did not automatically grant citizenship to people that were like visitors and all stuff. It wasn't until like the 1960s, 1970s, where they just started passing out documents to everybody, no matter what, no questions asked, because I think they allowed it. Prior to that, it wasn't done at like the hospitals. It was done at like government level. You know what I mean? Like government actually issued birth certificates and stuff like that. And then once they started letting hospitals do it, they just did it to everybody.
I think it's been going on for a long time, though. I mean, let's face it. When you were in school, you might not have even gone to like some obvious indoctrination center. You and I both learned growing up that anyone born on our soil under the 14th Amendment is a citizen, and that's what they're trying to. That's what they're trying to. That's what they're fighting against.
Well, I mean, that's what the left did. They took over the schools and they brainwashed people. They tried brainwashing everybody. No, you don't have a right to a gun. That's the militia that has the right. They tried that for years.
I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir.
No, it says separation of church and states. That means actually that no one could have anything to do with religion and all with the government. And then you got Mandami doing these things. You got schools and other places having like Eid celebrations in the school when you can't even have a menorah or a Christmas tree or anything or a cross up anywhere. No mangers, nothing. They'll go to war over that.
This is another huge mistake that people make, is that the whole separation of church and state thing that they make as if that's like, that's in the Constitution. It's not. Freedom of religion doesn't mean separation of church and state. Now, it was shortly after that. It was a few decades after that.
No established religion, which means no Church of England for the U.S. That's what they didn't want. They didn't want a church that was the Church of the United States, basically. That's what they didn't want. It had nothing to do with no one could be religious. All the founders were very religious.
I'm just gonna point out to you, okay? If you look at the First Amendment, it's very simple. It's basically saying Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That's the first words of our Bill of Rights. That doesn't mean that does not necessarily translate into separation of church and state. Now, subsequent Supreme Court decisions did use it in that regard, but That's not the language here. Just saying you can't make a law respecting establishments of a religion. You can't help cement a religion. That's what it means.
Well, doesn't that call into question all the nonprofit status of all the religions the IRS does?
I don't know if that's them making a law respecting an establishment religion.
They're saying they don't have to pay taxes. It's kind of a law.
But it's not. But the way it has been interpreted and understood,
I'm just being,
as long as
I'm
it's
just
not a
being
particular
cheeky.
religion, yeah. But yeah, it's very, very aggravating. Soldier of Province has been struggling a bit lately. Thanks for being here and doing what you do. Well, you're very welcome, and I hope things get better for you, brother.
I hope you do better, Tony.
Yeah, indeed.
I did post a couple links in there of some stuff about Swalwell if you wanted to.
Have a recommendation as to which of these I should go to?
Well, you start with the shipwreck crew and then the one underneath it. The other one was just Swalwell denying. He says, she didn't tell me nothing. The one above it was a...
Oh, so you're saying more problems brewing for Swalwell. Swalwell uses campaign ads to pay his wife for watching their children. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
I guess this is his explanation is that no, he paid his wife, and then his wife had to pay their illegal alien nanny in cash because they couldn't pay him because he kept her for years after he asked about it and was told, no, you can't use your campaign cash to pay an illegal alien for watching your kids. Are you crazy?
Democrats now also going after Eric Swalwell for allegedly having sex with his own young staffers. What? I didn't hear about this one.
The Democratic candidate currently leading in the California governor's race has a known history of being predatory towards women. And while it may be seen as politically expedient to sweep this under the rug, it is the wrong thing to do, and we know it. I worked on the Hill. I know many women who still do. And this message that I received yesterday is not unique. I have received others, and there are many women who have reached out to other political commentators and to reporters with their stories. This particular message follows the same pattern as the other allegations currently circulating. You know Eric Swalwell has slept with many of his interns and makes them all sign NDAs so they don't speak up, right? And when I was 19, he tried hitting on me and sliding into my DMs, and I have so many other friends that have similar experiences with him. Like I said, this message that I received is not an anomaly. It's part of a pattern. Other commentators have come forward, like this one, saying that no less than a dozen people have come forward to them alleging that Swalwell has had inappropriate relationships with young staffers for years. I understand that because the Trump administration is currently trying to weaponize similar allegations against Swalwell, having this conversation or publicly acknowledging it may feel like aligning with Trump, but that is not the truth. It is aligning with women. Politically, if this is a weakness that Trump can exploit, then it's something that we do need to acknowledge. And more important, morally, if we as a party are willing to bury these kinds of allegations, we are no better than those we point the finger at. Lastly, I would not be surprised if we soon see many other folks come forward. Conversations that I have had suggest that creators who have heard these stories and women who have experienced it are currently sitting on the sidelines because they're afraid of retaliation, of not being able to work in this space anymore if they speak up. But I think as more people come forward,
This would be a reason that they'd be trying to kill him, is that they're worried that this is going to come to light after he wins the primary. So they wouldn't want him to have.
I heard
him.
they canceled the primary because the people, like, besides, it was like Swalwell and like two Republicans were the only people that qualified for the debate. And so they canceled the debate. I'm sorry, not the primary, the debate at Berkeley or UCLA somewhere. There was supposed to be a debate. Yeah, and they canceled it the last week. Because they're like, wait, you don't have any black or brown people on the debate stage. It's like, well, they didn't qualify. What do you want us to do? They got like 1%. They don't have enough. We have rules for the debate, and they don't make it.
Who's he running against in his primary?
Well, the primary is open. California has open primary. So
Yeah,
it's open primary. The top two.
Is that crazy woman? Is it that crazy woman?
I don't think Porter's involved. I don't think she's doing well. It's Steve Hilton and it's another Republican, another Republican.
Hilton, like Paris's dad.
No, Steve Hilton, the commentator, the guy that used to be from England. You know what I'm talking about? He's like used to be on Fox all the time, or Fox Business. Steve Hilton. There's another guy, and I don't know his name, that's running. Another Republican, and they're basically like, like getting like it possibly could be two Republicans. Like they're claiming it could be two Republicans on the ballot, but no, it's not going to be two Republicans. Chad, the sheriff, the Riverside sheriff. That's right, the sheriff, Chad Bianco, the the guy who filed the lawsuit about the election, the redistricting election that was trying to go after him. That sheriff is running for governor. Supposedly really popular too.
Oh, Bianca,
yeah.
Said, I hope somebody shoots you and your children and your wife in the head. Pew, pew, motherfucker, pew, pew. I would stay indoors as much as possible, and my children, unfortunately, have to do that. The Department of Justice has not charged this individual and cited that he's a prolific caller and has health conditions, although what we have found in our own investigation and his voicemails is that he has said he will employ others to do this. The president can come after me. It's fine. I'm in the arena. So are these folks. But we never expected that the Department of Justice would not seek to prosecute and investigate those who are making threats against us. And
which, by the way, I do think that they should go after people who are making threats against Democrats also.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely think they should.
That would include those on that side of the aisle. And I'm just asking for your help to protect life, because life is at risk with the environment we're in right now.
Congressman, I completely agree with you. I know about several of those personally involving you. I believe one has been charged publicly, and there's something I would be happy to talk to you about off camera.
I was trying to show that they have like some sort of relationship.
But I can assure you that they are very serious. They are being looked into, and I can give you more details on those. None of you should be threatened, ever. None of your children should be threatened. None of your families should be threatened. And I will work with, you can come into my office any day. I will work with all of you on both sides of the aisle if you are ever threatened. And I'll gladly talk to you after this hearing about your cases. But I can tell you some of them are very active.
All right. Well, there you go. Alas, she's gone. While we're in California and dealing with that race, I'd be happy to share with you new report here that Dr. Oz saying we've shut down the last 10 weeks 221 hospices because Nick Shirley has basically been exposing the fraud that's going on.
Have you seen the back and forth between like Newsom and the U.S. Attorney for Southern and Central California with Alessi? Because Newsom's trying to say, well, the federal government, it's not our problem, it's the federal government problem. And it's like, no, you certify these people. You certified them.
You're the ones who suck at this, at vetting them.
You know, and are certifying them. And then what are we supposed to do when they submit the bills? We have to pay them. You're supposed to be checking this stuff. You know, they're not. None of the states are. They don't care.
I've never been on this, but dozens of young, just hyper prepared individuals. There were drones and planes and these trucks they could drive through gates that they were able to blast through, and no one got hurt. And they stunned these folks in pre-dawn hours, and they were one of 7 hospice owners that were shut down yesterday. To put that in perspective, in the prior 4 years, the governor of California had shut down 4 hospices. We shut down 7 in one night. And I'll get news for you today, Brett. Let's announce, make it clear to everybody, we've shut down already, just in the last 10 weeks, 221 hospices in California.
So wait, in the state of California, 220.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, not even the state, in Los Angeles. So we're able to dramatically accelerate a process that had been meandering along in California. And we believe that there are 1,800 hospices in California. That's, by the way, about a third of the entire nation's hospice load is just in Los Angeles. We're going to be able to shut down, we hope, appropriately, half of them.
We saw what happened in Minnesota. Now we're seeing the tip of the iceberg in California. Every time we see a fraud bust like this, it's framed as kind of bad actors, and that it's happening on such a large scale because the system allows for it. What incentives inside Medicare and Medicaid are actually enabling this kind of systemic issue? It's obviously been going on for years, right?
Well, part of it is that government had been fragmented in its approach. So yesterday, the U.S. Attorney, Billy Asali, led the charge. He got the Office of Inspector General, the Department.
Bill Asali is another name that we keep hearing really great things coming out of his office. We're looking for potential Attorney General. He's someone who I think is in line for promotion.
But he hasn't been able to get confirmed by the Senate either. Because nobody, not a single U.S. That's the thing. I saw it. I don't know if you saw it. Like the list. I think Shipwreck Crew put out a good thing. Like I could pull it up if you want because I got a membership to him. But he put out a thing showing all the states where there has not been a single U.S. attorney or judge approved because they're basically because of Grassley and the blue slips.
Grassley and the stupid blue slips.
Yeah, because
I'm familiar with the term blue slips. So this is an old tradition in the Senate that they allow the senator to blue slip from a particular state to blue slip and say that I don't like this individual you want to nominate, and then they won't get it to the committee. If it doesn't pass through the committee, he won't bring it to the committee. Chuck Grassley is the one who oversees the appointment committee. He's a Republican who sucks, and he basically respects this blue slip tradition in the Senate. So you try bringing someone up who's an actual conservative in any blue state, they basically go to the senators and they say, are you okay with this individual? And Adam Schiff says no. Cory Booker says no. Amy Klobuchar says no. And all these stupid, ridiculous senators who say no. So Chuck Grassley is like, well, we won't bring it to the committee. If it doesn't get passed through in the committee, you need to have confirmation, not by a simple majority, but then you need to go back to having 60 senators, and you're never going to get that passed through. So that's why we struggle, because Chuck Grassley, like a schmuck, decides that he's going to recognize this blue slip veto from these ridiculous senators. This schmuck is basically the reason we can't get anyone appointed, anyone who's actually really based. And it's very, very frustrating. It's very, very, we can't get judges, we can't get anyone appointed because this schmuck, Chuck Grassley, is a douchebag.
It's like 30 out of the 56 or something like that U.S. attorney offices they haven't even got a vote on.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Chuck Grassley should be. I mean, this guy, he needs to be politically shelved and removed completely.
Isn't he like 98 or something like that? I mean, he's old.
Yeah, seriously. There are turtles who wish for his longevity. It's unbelievable. I'm broke as F, Joe. Sorry, I can't explain myself. Well, I got what you were saying. China's paper dragon, Russia's paper bear, titanium eagle. I don't know what titanium eagle is, but I'm trying.
Oh, U.S. is a titanium eagle.
Oh.
Justice, you got everyone working together. We're bringing in Scott Bessent in Treasury because guess what? Bank fraud's a big part of this. And we've also got a problem that's even larger, I think, in that we had told people in the federal government for the last 4 years under the Biden administration, don't do your job. Literally, we told people who were in charge of fraud that they should just sort of calm down. We don't want to have a big problem with this. This is not a legitimate issue. Just enroll people. We kept score in Medicare and Medicaid by looking at how many people were in the program, as opposed to were the right people in the program. Let's extend that now to autism. So what happened in Minnesota is they would pay moms to dishonestly say their children had autism. Brett, if you have a child in a neighborhood that's autistic and needs support, it's expensive and it's worth the investment. We should do it. It's the right thing. But if every child in the neighborhood is autistic, then no one really is getting those services. So you take scarce resources and funding and you now stretch it out. But here's the biggest message I can deliver tonight. This is critical. If these corrupt fraudsters are willing to steal your money, they will steal your health. They'll steal your life. I've seen it firsthand. Hospice owners who are willing to throw away the benefits that these older folks should have, and they die because they don't realize they've been tricked into signing up on hospice they never wanted. We have the same thing happen with durable medical equipment. Brett, we're right now in the epicenter of this. Durable medical equipment suppliers in South Florida outnumber the number of McDonald's by twofold. There's twice as many people selling wheelchairs and canes and braces in South Florida than there are McDonald's. How is that possible?
All right, so do you have enough people? Does this task force have enough stuff? Are you going to be able to get after this to the point?
I don't think they have enough prosecutors to prosecute the crimes.
Moving the needle.
They don't. There's no way.
The president and the vice president and the task force says yes. So I spent yesterday, when we weren't doing the bust, talking to collaborators and talking about how we're going to be able to recruit the right people back into government because we need people. And by the way, please, I came on the show in part to recruit folks. This is a generational opportunity to serve your nation. If you're interested in this space of fraud, come on, give us a call. We want to hear your tips. I found out that of the referrals we were getting in my agency from the Office of Inspector General, these are like detectives finding fraud, we were only acting on about a third. Well, if you only act on a third of what detectives are telling you is fraud, you're throwing away a lot of good intel. But also, the detectives stop referring cases because they don't think you're serious.
Why would they?
I told my team I want 100% of their referrals acted on. And I want to hear about it if we don't do this. And that's what everyone across government is doing, because the vice president has made it really clear. He doesn't want the gaming anymore. He doesn't want one arm of government holding back another arm. We are all laser focused on dealing with the crisis the American public is furious about.
Can AI and data processing help you with the fraud detection real time to be able to deal with it on the front end?
Brett, you're so smart. Come work with us. You got it. What you just said is profoundly important. One of the beauties of AI is that we could use it to catch fraud earlier and more accurately, but we could also use it to defend ourselves, because guess who's using AI? The fraudsters. They're corrupting the system with sophisticated tools to hide their ill-gotten gains from us. So by us using technology, AI in particular, we're going to copy what's already happening in banking. You don't think bank managers are good at fraud. If they were, they wouldn't be bank managers. AI is being used to help them think like a fraudster. We're doing the same thing for the first time. We've stopped billions of dollars from leaving the door of CMS. The goal for us is the money never leaves the building. And AI has helped us do that. Again, billions of dollars already, because we can identify fraud as soon as the fraudsters start corrupting the system.
And in the big picture,
all right. So I think we get the picture there. So hopefully some crackdowns start happening. It's astonishing though. Chuck Grassley, my God, that guy. Every time I think about it, it gets me so angry. It gets me so angry. I mean, the staunch Republican. It's from Iowa, right?
I mean, also, this is the first. Trump is the first president that got 0 recess appointments. 0.
It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. It's the Senate. I'm telling you, Senate is poison. It's John Thune. This is a guy who's got to go.
I mean, people go, oh, but recess appointments are only good until the next Congress takes over. I mean, that's all they're good for. They're good for just, but it would give them some, at least would get these people working in these U.S. attorney's office and do some stuff for another year, you know?
Yeah, we'd have Alina Habba in there. We'd have so many, we have Bill Asali in there. We'd have so many judges in there.
You know, or to get rid of the zombie filibuster thing. Put it back to the way it was 100 years ago, where they talked, they said their piece, and then you voted.
It wasn't even 100 years ago.
I mean, no, it wasn't. It was like the 70s, I think, or 80s. I don't think it changed until Clinton. I think that's when they changed it. It was under Clinton.
No.
I don't know who changed it, if it was Democrats or Republicans, but whoever changed it, probably was a deal between the two of them. We don't want to actually have to stand up here and talk. We want to be able to do stuff. So just, if you're going to filibuster, just tell us. And then if we don't have the votes, we'll just move on to something else.
It's unbelievable. See, now you blackpilled me. I came in here all hot and excited about Pam Bondi being removed and about our successes in Iran, and now you got me all bummed out. You have any good news you can leave me with here?
I don't think so.
Really?
I haven't seen any good news.
Really?
I'm just telling you, I haven't seen any good news. Really.
I always come in with some white pill at the end.
Oh, well, okay. ICE arrests the relatives of Soleimani and that were somehow allowed into the country.
That's there you go. There you go. It was a niece and a grandniece or something, right?
Yeah, here, I'll put it in a private chat.
All right. Let's leave everyone with a good taste in their mouths. It's important. It's important. I want to leave you with a good taste in your mouth here.
I'll put 2 links in there for 2 stories. Pick which one you want.
We'll go with the New York Post. All right. So let's leave on a good note here, just so I don't have to be all disgusted by this. New York Post reporting here. Yikes. That's not going to work. The niece and grandniece of slain notorious Iranian General Soleimani arrested by ICE while enjoying lavish lifestyles in LA. Well, that's good. There you go. The niece of slain Iranian terror master General Qasem Soleimani, who showcased her luxe LA lifestyle on Instagram, while Bash in the U.S. is the great Satan, and her daughter have been arrested by ICE agents, the State Department announced Saturday. Hamida Soleimani Afshar, who allegedly celebrated attacks on U.S. soldiers and military bases, and her daughter Serenas Sadat Hosseini have had their green cards revoked over their ties to the Iranian regime. While living in the United States, she promoted Iranian regime propaganda, celebrated attacks against American soldiers and military facilities in the Middle East, praised a new Iranian supreme leader, denounced America's great state and voiced her unflinching support for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, a designed terror organization, according to State Department letter confirming the Friday arrest.
This story is just baffling that they came on a tourist visa and then claimed asylum and got green cards. Who the fuck made that decision? They've been back. They've traveled back to Iran on vacation. Clearly, they're not persecuted by the Iranian government. They're fucking part of the Iranian government. That's the same shit like Ilhan Omar, whose father was part of the Bahri regime in Somalia that was persecuting all the fucking people. They came to the U.S. claiming somehow they're being persecuted.
Granted asylum in 2019, secured a green card under Biden in 2021. This twisted bitch. She made at least 4 trips back to Iran since receiving a green card where she's under such threat. The Department of Homeland.
I think she came in, she got her visa under Obama and came in 2015.
Yeah. Sandy, 25, also entered the U.S. in 2015 on a student visa. She became a green card holder in 2023. Her online persona was at odds with the Shia Islam her mother espoused. Goodbye, sicko. Looks like a tranny. Photos that were since deleted social media reveal a bikini-clad babe showing off stomach tattoos and lounging on a jet ski. Other Instagram posts show us saying a clubbing Miami, vacation in Alaska, and partying down in Las Vegas. It's just sickening. Just sickening. Just living it up in America. We're such fools for allowing these idiots to stay here. I'm glad. I'm glad. Goodbye. Goodbye, sicko. I saw that this clip over here, which the Post does what Fox News does sometimes, where they sort of share out like on a sort of related story to whatever it is, but not the same story. Which fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, but this was talking about Rubio talking about getting us out of NATO, and that's actually something that we were discussing earlier. And I'd like to actually see this clip.
Well, I have a couple. I can give you a couple of links for that.
I want to see Rubio talking about that, and I'm about to get it here as soon as we finish this.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, because there was a.
Let's restart this.
Because it's all right. In 2023, under Biden, the Democrats controlled Congress, and they passed a law, part of the NDAA, that said, the president can't just take us out of NATO anymore as part of the NDAA, because part of NATO is that the president could say we want a 12-month clock to get out of NATO. Part of from what I've read and the different constitutional rules and stuff, that he can say it's a 12-month clock, I want out. Congress can overrule him, but it takes a supermajority.
Congress can overrule him.
But they tried to go over that and say, no, we're going to pass a statute as part of the NDA saying that he can't do that. So I don't know how constitutional it is. You know what I mean? If it's going to hold up, that them to put this limit on him when the original treaty and everything as what was signed and ratified said that the president can withdraw and Congress has 12 months to overrule him. It's like a 12-month window, and within the 12 months, Congress can overrule him by, same
a
supermajority, which
right.
wouldn't happen. Let's be clear. And that's probably why they did it in 2023, because they're like, oh, if Trump comes back in or someone else, they'll try to pull us out of NATO. But I don't know how constitutional it is for them to just attach something in an NDAA saying, that whole thing.
Some stupid woke judge is going to overrule him. It's going to happen, like a Boasberg.
Well, it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to have to say, well, this was the original treaty. This is the rules. This is what was set in place when the whole thing was established, which says the president can withdraw and give 12 months notice. Congress can overrule him. You can't just change it because this wasn't voted on by a supermajority, which is what how it's passed to begin with.
Yeah. Rizalian says, where was he crying about this when Hassan said on stream, if you care about Medicare fraud, you would kill Rick Scott?
There was a lot, like Rick Scott did have some really shady stuff with Medicare and different things, and I don't know what happened. It didn't affect him. He was governor after it and senator, and it comes up. I heard he settled and paid some fines or something like that years ago. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I get phone calls every day from scammers trying to basically claim they're part of Medicare or they're part of the insurance company or part of this. Your doctor wants us to come and do a home health visit at your house. It's like, what are you talking about? Because it's all scams because they want to bill and bill and bill. You know what I mean? Because they can charge stuff.
J.H. Schwalbach on Locals says, Google AI says, based on the earnings of high-profile individuals and public figures who have enjoyed OnlyFans, the projected revenue for a figure with similar name recognition to Pam Bondi, such as a former cabinet-level official or nationally known media personality, could be significant, potentially reaching hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars annually, depending on the strategy and level of content produced. I'd look at least once, but feel really dirty. That's J.H. Schwalbach. That's pretty funny, brother. Yeah. Do you have a clip there about getting us out of NATO?
I have a couple stories.
Someone is asking me to check out this song, but I think it's going to be I think it's a parody of.
Here, I got a couple.
I think
stories.
it's a parody of a Taylor Swift song that I'm going to get dinged for. So I'm not going to be playing that.
I'll put a
St.
couple in
Glenn's.
here.
I'll check it out on my own time, but I don't think I can share this.
Jubelish?
I hear it.
Yeah, that's.
I put 3 stories in. These all seem to be coming from Canada. Yeah, like these are all Canadian, right?
Toronto Sun.
Yeah, CTV. Basically, they're basically like, oh, you know.
Toronto Sun reporting here. President Trump's comments to a British newspaper this week revived speculation about whether he's ready to pull the U.S. out of a NATO defensive pact of which Canada is a member. Let's make this a little bit over. Venting his frustration over what he claimed is failure of allies to help Americans war against Iran, Trump told the Daily Telegraph NATO is a paper tiger. The U.S. leaving the alliance is now beyond reconsideration. Aaron Ettinger, associate professor of political science at Carleton University, said the threat of U.S. quitting NATO has grave implications for Western security and must be taken seriously. Quote, we can't just treat Trump's threats as a Taco Tuesday situation. Ettinger said, referring to the acronym Trump always chickens out, which describes the president's pattern of issuing aggressive threats before caving or doing nothing. NATO depends on the United States, and that makes the threat of abandonment, legal or material, a very real prospect. According to the most recent NATO annual report released last week, America accounted for 60% of allies' combined nominal defense expenditures. While it remains unclear how serious the president is about withdrawal, experts say there are a number of ways Trump could go about removing the U.S. from the alliance or wrecking it from within. Pulling out of NATO would be straightforward but not obstacle-free, thanks in part to Trump's own Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
I posted a link to the Rubio comments. It's like a 2-minute clip. It's at the bottom, the last one. It's from X, so if you want to do that.
Ettinger, an expert in U.S. foreign policy, says it's legally possible for Trump to withdraw. The process is clearly outlined in the NATO charter. Any member can leave by simply giving 1 year's notice. But Trump still would have to contend with U.S. lawmakers, the courts, and the Constitution. Let's see what. Let's see this clip here.
NATO, you said that our NATO allies have been disappointing. Specifically, I know you're talking about Spain, Great Britain, France, even Italy now, and that after all of this is done, we will re-examine this relationship, and especially when it comes to, we pay 2/3 of the freight when it comes to NATO defense, and if it's just, quote, about us defending Europe, you said, at this point, how do we call that? And we can't have our landing rights in European nations, our allies, at a time when we need them. What good is that alliance? And is the NATO alliance at risk?
Sean, I've been one of the strongest defenders of NATO during my time as a United States Senator because I found great value in it. And it wasn't just about defending Europe. I said it also allowed us to have military bases in Europe that allowed us to project power into different parts of the world when our national security was threatened. If now we have reached a point where the NATO alliance means that we can't use those bases, that in fact, that we can no longer use those bases to defend America's interests, then NATO is a one-way street. Then NATO is simply about us having troops
sucking
in
our
Europe
money
to defend Europe. But when we need their help, not their help, we're not asking them to conduct airstrikes. When we need them to allow us to use their military bases, their answer is no. Then why are we in NATO? You have to ask that question. Why do we have billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over the years, trillions of dollars, and all these American forces stationed in the region? If we can only use, in our time of need, we're not going to be allowed to use those bases. So I think there's no doubt, unfortunately, after this conflict is concluded, we are going to have to re-examine that relationship. We're going to have to re-examine the value of NATO and that alliance for our country. Ultimately, that's a decision for the president to make, and he'll have to make it. We're going to finish the job here. As I said, we're very, very close to achieving our objectives on all of these things that I've outlined. But I do think, unfortunately, we are going to have to re-examine whether or not this alliance that has served this country well for a while is still serving that purpose, or is it now become a one-way street where America is simply in a position to defend Europe, but when we need the help of our allies, they're going to deny us basing rights and even deny basic us overflight? I think these are very legitimate questions that we need to be asking.
Basic
and this are going to have to be very carefully examined after this
fundamentals. Basic alliance fundamentals.
This also, these actions by France and the UK and Spain and Italy,
negotiating with Iran.
I'm not even talking about that. Just you can't use the bases for this. The British said you can't use Diego Garcia. You can't do this. All this means is Trump was 100% right that we need Greenland. It has to be ours. We can't deal with it. Yeah, okay, we got basing rights there. We got all this stuff. But what happens when they say, no, you can't use it?
Yeah.
Well, no, we need it. Sorry.
Well said. And with that, I'm going to wrap up here. God willing, tomorrow evening, I plan on streaming yet again. You'll see me tomorrow evening on Sunday. Yes, Saturday and Sunday this week. That is the plan, as well as Monday. We'll see what's going to happen going forward after that. You'll find updates as to when I'm going to be appearing on at goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com. Spelled like my channel name, Good Logic, LAWGIC.locals.com. I urge you, sign up there. It's free to sign up. You don't have to pay anything, and you'll get notifications where you want to find me. While you're here, if you could please like, share, subscribe, all that other stuff. And make sure that you do not eat the bugs. Tell people where they can find you, Jim.
You can find me on all platforms at Jim Tells You, or on X at Jim Satala.
And you should. Dude's awesome. He's great. I thank you for joining me, and I'm going to remind you, do not eat the bugs. Just don't do it. I will see you all tomorrow evening, God willing. Until then, have a good night. And those of you celebrating Easter, please make sure you enjoy your Easter, and Godspeed.